Will Levis out of Kentucky. He gets drafted at 1-7 to the Raiders. So I really like the spot where he gets drafted. Having Devontae Adams there. Hopefully Josh Jacobs gets back. But Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky, 6'3", 232 pounds. I mean, he's a big athletic guy. Comes from a athletic background as well. His grandfather played football at Cornell. And when you watch him, I mean, you see a big athletic quarterback. Somebody can get down with his legs. I mean, how many touchdowns he have on the ground? He had, I think 9 touchdowns on the ground as well as go with his 24 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Somebody who started at Penn State ended up transferring to Kentucky because he wasn't playing at Penn State. And when he goes to Kentucky, that's when things really start to go really well for him. Led the Kentucky to a 10-win season, which is really impressive for Kentucky in itself.
Right.
That's a really big deal. Was setting records left and right at Kentucky as well. Just going out there, putting up really big numbers, 43 touchdowns, 5,233 passing yards, and 17-7 record overall. That's really good. And being at 6'3", 232 pounds, I mean, that's a big guy, right? Like twice the size as Bryce Young almost. Twice the size. For me, that he's coming out. I mean, he's running a pro-style offense at Kentucky, which is also a really nice thing for him as well. So he gets to come in and hit the ground running. And, of course, I mean, there's things, his accuracy is not as good as Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. Sometimes he can make some bad decisions as well. But in the right situation, the right coaching, this is somebody who can come in and be an above-average quarterback. Like from the tape that I saw, like he's intriguing. I watched every snap of C.J. Stroud's career. And to me, C.J. Stroud is, I come away a lot of times feeling like, am I watching Kirk Cousins? Like, is that what I'm watching here with C.J. Stroud?
Yeah.
Where he's good and he's come in and be a slightly above average, but like, is he the quarterback that I really like get the highest ceiling from? Bryce Young, we mentioned his accuracy, but his height, that could be a huge detriment in the NFL level. It really can be. I've seen that over the last couple of years as some of these guys come in the league. Will Levis, to me, offers, the two guys after here offer the most upside of all these quarterbacks that we're looking at. And
for sure.
If he's getting drafted top 10, which is probably going to be expected here, I honestly wouldn't be shocked if he gets drafted ahead of Bryce Young in the NFL draft. I would not be. But he's going to get the draft capital, and he's got everything that I see here on tape to be a high-caliber quarterback, right? He could be the next Justin Herbert. Like he can, and be the third quarterback taken and really elevate my team. This is somebody where if he does fall to 1-4 in his rookie draft, if it starts to play out this way, I would be actively trying to trade up here. Just like I was for the Justin Herbert days and Daniel Jones. Yep. Daniel Jones and Justin Herbert are two players that were the third quarterbacks coming off the board that I was aggressively trying to trade up for in all my Dynasty rookie drafts, and I was able to accomplish that feat in a majority of them. Because a lot of people are like, hey, I'll trade back because you're going to take the quarterback, and that means I can get Michael Mayer. I can get Quinn Johnson.
Whomever I want.
And a lot of that happened.
Right.
And these people were so happy to get these receivers and running backs, and I was just so happy to get the quarterback. And here I am 3-4 years later, very happy that I gave up minimum assets to move up here. So Will Levis, to me, whether it be the Raiders, the Texans, the Colts, or another team that trades up, is going to be in a really good position because he's going to have the draft capital. Nobody behind him, going to come in right away. And he's athletic enough to compete with C.J. Stroud. You mentioned Bryce Young's athleticism. He's somebody that's going to be sneaky athletic, that's going to get you some work done on the ground that you didn't even realize that you're going to get. Kind of like what Daniel Jones does, where he's averaging 40 yards per game on the ground. So, Levis.
Let me ask you this real quick, just out of curiosity. If you would have had 102 instead of 101, would you have taken Levis ahead of Stroud or Bryce Young, or no?
As it stands right now, no. But if Will Levis gets drafted ahead of them in the NFL draft, yes.
Okay.
As of right now, I would probably take Will Levis ahead of Bryce Young.
Okay.
If I had Matt's pick, I probably would have taken Will Levis because where Matt's concerns are, I have the concerns. And if I have concerns about any of these guys, it's kind of like the receiver, right? Like when I have a coin toss between the receiver, give me the guy who's 6'2", 200 pounds compared to the guy that's 5'8", 195.
Sure.
Same thing. So if I get a bigger quarterback with a really strong arm and some athleticism, he's going to have top 10 draft capital, I'd rather just roll with that guy.
Will Levis, 9 touchdowns in 2021, just 2 this past year. And he had a negative 107 yards rushing because they count sacks against your rushing total. So not quite. I mean, not quite the athlete. I think, it was 2021. He had 376 yards rushing. This past season,
all of his numbers were down this season.
yeah,
This
past season wasn't that great.
somewhat of a disappointing season
9 touchdowns rushing now.
last year.
2021.
Yeah.
Yep.
In 2021.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he can do it. He's proven he can do it. He just this past season was a bit of a down.
This past season was bad. And the numbers I was reading is 2,860 yards, 24 touchdowns, 13 interceptions were off of the 21 tape as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's just somebody who needs some good coaching.
Sure. I agree with that. Yep.
But to be fair, like we say that though, like every one of these guys needs to come to the league needs good coaching.
For sure.
Every one of them does. So
For sure. I don't think there's not a Trevor Lawrence. There's not a Joe Burrow.
Right.
There's not any of those prospects in this class.
And that's what I don't know. It makes me a little bit nervous about this class, right? I mean, it's
Sure.
It's one of those things where
We could be looking 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, and we could be like, can you believe all the quarterbacks that were in this class? Such a good class. Or we could be saying the complete opposite, like, what a dud. Like, what a dud
was
of
that?
a class.
What was that third guy that got picked?
Yeah,
Like,
we don't want that. We don't want that Jake Locker year.
Exactly.
Christian Ponder, Jake Locker, they're all bad. They all had the draft
It's
capital.
all doo-doo. Yep.
But it's a risk. It's a juice that's worth the squeeze.
It is. It is worth the squeeze.
One of the greatest perks of joining the Nerd Herd is getting access to the Dynasty Nerds all 22 film library. You can save 15% off dynastynerds.com and get access to the film room using a promo code FILM15.